It's day 4 of 14 days thinking about Anne Boleyn, and today we're thinking about her brother, George Boleyn. As with his father, Thomas Boleyn, considering he died quite young, there's a lot to be said about his career today, so I won't cover every single position he held and every single job that he did because there is a lot, so I am cherry picking here. Feel free to drop in the comments any other things you know that he did. It's believed that George Boleyn was born around 1504, and our first mention of him in court in public appears in 1514 when he took part in the Christmas revels at court. In 1516 he was made a page, so an attendant or a serving boy, and this really demonstrates how successful his father had already become. This was kind of a mark of honour that he'd managed to get his son this position. And from 1522, and if you remember that date from yesterday, you'll remember that was the date that his sister Mary became the king's mistress. No coincidence there. From 1522 he starts being awarded houses and positions. And then in 1524 he's given the manor of Grimston in Norfolk, and he's made a member of the Privy Chamber. Now, Cardinal Wolsey is on the watch with the Boleyns. He's feeling slightly threatened by their ever-growing power, and he's decided in 1526 to reduce the size of the king's household, and George Boleyn is one of the ones that is cut from the Privy Chamber. Around this time he marries Jane, as we most often know as Lady Rochford, and she's another interesting character it'd be good to look at some point. The king approves this match. He gives them £20 a year to live on. 1528, with Henry actively trying to get rid of Catherine and pursuing Anne, George's career is accelerating again. At this point, Wolsey's actually trying to get on his good side, and he manages to arrange for him to receive an extra £50 a year. And things just keep getting better and better for him. The following year, in 1539, when you've got Cromwell knocking about a bit more, he arranges for even more money for him, £200, then an extra 200 marks per year. So you're looking at sort of over £300 a year for him. He's made a governor of a hospital. He's made given the stewardship of Beaulieu, knighted, and this is when we see his diplomatic career start to take off. He's sent on embassies overseas. He was considered an important player in assuring the submission of the clergy when Henry decided he wanted to rule the church, and he was also part of the trial that convicted Thomas More. So things are just getting better and better for George. You can track his career alongside the activities of Mary and Anne, really. Things obviously then take a turn for the worst in 1536. There's already a slight hint that he might be falling out of favour when somebody else is picked over him for a position in the Knights of the Garter. But obviously with the fall of Anne on the 1st of May in 1536, he's arrested. So he's accused of adultery and incest, but essentially adultery and of conspiring to kill the king. Now, supposedly he blames his wife, Lady Rochford, for this incest rumour. However, there's certainly cases of her writing while he's in the Tower and sort of appealing on his behalf. So that's a bit of an interesting one, and we'll cover her again in the future, but I do think she gets a bad rap, and I think a lot of stuff gets blamed on her. People do like to paint like an evil villain woman, I think, in these situations. But anyway, supposedly he's blamed her for that one. He goes on trial, and he's apparently very eloquent, very, calm and patient, and people really talk about how well he held his composure, but it doesn't do him any good. he was executed on the 17th of May at Tower Hill, at the Tower of London. There are often suggestions that Anne saw it happen. I'm pretty sure that's been disproven since, because when you look at the location of where her room would have been and where her window was, it's not possible that she would have seen it, but that's something that you quite often hear circulated. So that's George Boleyn. He achieved quite a lot in his life. How much would he have done without his sisters? We have to wonder, don't we? Because I think when we talk about his dad, you can see he was a real up-and-comer even without his daughters. He was already in Henry's inner circle. But George, his trajectory seems to very much start with one sister and end with another. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think of George Boleyn. So I'll see you tomorrow for day 5, when we're going to see what we know, if much at all, about Anne Boleyn's early life. See you then.